Okay, we've got another race. This is the ZHQ Futureworks Crit City race. And tonight I have put myself in C grade. There weren't too many options. And I figured, well, let's just see how we go. This is a 6-lap race, which means it's going to be pretty quick. And that usually means it's going to be fairly hard. We've actually got a pretty good field forming. 28 riders so far. And we're riding in one of Swift's dedicated crit circuits, which is Downtown Dolphin. So I think it's about a 2-kilometer lap. That's the distance each lap. So in C grade, we're essentially in the 2.5 watt to 3 watt per kilo range category. Not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not too sure how I'm going to go. I've only had a couple of D grade races this week, and I wouldn't have thought they were pretty intense. But let's have a crack at it and see how we go. So we've got about 50 seconds. Managed to snag pole position again. Turn the fan on. Make sure the music's playing in the earpods there. Alright, 20 seconds. Ten seconds. Start the ramp with what's up. Try and pick it up. And we're off. So I'm waiting for the group to form, the front group, and see who's going to be in the front there, how many riders. And I'm looking at the list and I'm a little bit worried because it seems like everyone's in the front group. And that's going to make it pretty tricky. But the good thing about a group is that you're a little bit of drafting going on, so you can kind of sit in the middle towards the front and hang on. We've got a strong Australian showing tonight. A couple of internationals. So all up, we've got 31 in the race, and we can see from the map on the top right-hand corner that we've already got 2 groups forming. This paved section, this is the only climb on the route. So that can be a little bit of a strategic spot. If you've got the legs, especially towards the end of the race, you can blow a group apart if you put some serious power down on that little climb. Oh, it looks like the groups have reformed, okay. We've got probably the majority of the riders in this one group. We turn into the rollers, which is a bit of a, was it a gravel section, a dirt section? I'm not too sure. But even though it's a bit up and down here, it's predominantly down. Alright, coming up. First lap's almost done, and I'm starting to feel it. It's like my heart rate's at 174 now. But most races you can group into 3 different sections. The start of the race, and that's like the first lap or the first couple of minutes where it's pretty intense. And then the groups will form, and you can kind of settle into a group hopefully and find some pace and find some rhythm. So you can see my heart rate's going back down a little bit, but I think for the majority of the race I'm above 170, which at this stage it wasn't very comfortable. Just pacing at the front there. I don't want to be on the front, I just want to be close to the front in case there's any breakaways or something happens, but generally that almost never happens. Alright, so we're back into our cobbled climb again. And for those who aren't familiar with Swift, we've got these little weird shapes, those little green shapes that are appearing above particular riders' heads. So that green one with the feather is particularly good with climbing and makes you lighter. So you can just climb a little bit more efficiently. There's another guy there with a little blue van, and that's drafting. That improves your draftability. But you don't want to be at the front with that. You really want to be behind a few people to make that work. And we've got the first cone of the night. So on the right hand side there we can see that Lance has picked up a cone, and you can see him up ahead there with that green cone above him. And what that means is that he's putting out too much power for the category that he's in. So he might be typically, say, maybe a B grade rider or even maybe an A grade rider, and he's looking for an easy race. And so these particular races that are organised by Swift have what's called anti-sandbagging features. And that means that if someone's putting out more power than the category they're in, they get hit with a cone and their power is reduced. I think by 25% or something. And so effectively his race is over. That cone doesn't get removed, and unless he's got some serious power reserves, he's not going to be able to keep up with the pack. And we've got another power up that's appeared there, that's the purple steamroller. And so I find that people often use that incorrectly. That purple steamroller is meant to smooth out the road you're on, so especially if you're on a cobbled section or possibly gravel, it rolls it or smooths it out, so it's like you're riding on bitumen, which can make it easier for you whilst the other riders are finding it more difficult. And commonly when people don't understand what the power up does, they'll either look to get rid of it and dump it, or they'll use it at the wrong spot. And a lot of Swift racing is about power ups and using them at the right times. See, if you'd used that steamroller in this section, we would have found this climb a lot easier. Alright, so we've got another feather up there. I've got my feather up, which I'm using now. And I use it toward the end of that little two-stage section, that little two-stage cobble climb. because you sort of have this little hump that you come over through this gate. And maybe I used it a bit late there, but it doesn't really matter. Often people use that feather up, the power up, the feather up, the feather up, the feather power up at the start of that climb, and they often run out before it's finished where you really kind of need it. So it's better to use it later than earlier. All right, so we're on lap 3, back into the rollers. And we've definitely dropped a few riders at this stage. So there's probably a good, oh man, there's probably a good 15 of us at least in this front group. Alright, so that's we're halfway through, it's half the race. We've got 3 laps to go. And you can see Lance there isn't happy about getting his cone. Alright, so we've still got a good Aussie showing here. And I picked up a invisibility power up, which I'm using because in this particular race it's not going to be that effective for me. So the invisibility power up allows you to become invisible to the other riders. And so the idea behind that is you can then sprint off the front without anyone knowing that you're doing that until you reappear again after about 10 seconds. And look, it has its moment, but I don't in this race where the group is so tight, and it's, you know, we're averaging somewhere around 3 watts per kilo. I don't think anyone's got that power to ride off like that. So now that the guy using the drafting power up, the little blue van, I probably wouldn't have used that there. I would have used that coming into this straight with a bit of a downhill. But you can see how he's pushed to the front quite easily with that draft. And I've got to say that I'm certainly struggling by now. Sitting at 175. I'm not enjoying this at all very much. So there we go, so someone's using the steamroller power up perfectly there. And they're going to find that little section just a lot easier. And you don't have to, like, you can probably back off the power a little bit too, and so he's probably getting a little bit of a break, recovering ever so slightly. And I've picked up the burrito power up, which makes you undraftable. Well, undraftable for about 10 seconds. So again, but in a big group like this, it doesn't really have much of an effect. If there were maybe 3 or 4 of us in a bit of a line, then yeah, that can help, and you can sort of break away a bit. But this group is still pretty big, and that kind of a power up doesn't really make much of a difference. Alright, heart rate at 176, I'm still hanging around the middle of the pack there. which is good. Passing some of the back markers now. And that can be a bit of a trap, because often when you pass a back marker or a couple of riders together like that, they might try and pick the pace up a little bit to ride with the group. And if you're not careful, if you're not paying attention, you can get stuck behind them. And even if for maybe a second or two, you've got to put more power down to get past it. Oh, we've got another cone. Is that Tuvi? Or Tui? So 2 cones for the race so far. And that's what makes this kind of racing good. It makes it more equal. You don't have guys that are A and B grade coming in and just smashing the group, or taking it easy for the majority of the ride and then the last lap just riding off everyone. Yeah, 2V. So unfortunately his race is done. Alright, we're on the second last lap. Still averaging somewhere around about 2 minutes 45 seconds per lap. Alright, last lap. And I'm kind of happy I got the featherweight power up. So I'm going to use it on the cobbled climb. We're still putting out about 3 watts per kilo, 3.1, 3.2 watts per kilo, which is at the top end of the C grade category. Yeah, so this wasn't exactly the perfect race for me to get back into C grade, but I'm still pretty happy that I'm with this front group here. Alright, coming up to the last kilometre now. And into the climb. Trying to put some power down here. On goes the featherweight. I'm sort of going, oh, there's a bit of a break now. Pushing hard to get back into that group. Burned a couple of matches there. And we've got a back marker. He's got in the way. And I've realised I've looked up and there's a bit of a gap now, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if I've got the juice to bridge that. Which is a bit of a shame, because we've only got 600 metres left. Yep, there we go, that's it. But still, there's 2 other riders behind me. 200 metres. I'm just going to sit here just until the last moment, and then try and push past them. And 11th. Not awesome, but not bad. So we averaged about 3.1 watts per kilo, which is not bad. I'm happy with that. But if we're looking at the list there, we've got 3.4 watts, 3.6 watts, 3.5 watts. These are all sort of, B grade power, or at least, yeah, getting into B grade power. So, well, it is what it is. Not a bad result. Averaging 172 beats per minute. So basically in the red for most of that ride. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next race.